You listen to Sammy Gyamfi, the presser. You still insist that Goldmore must take some responsibility for the losses?
Moro, once again, thank you very much. And a very good morning to our cherished viewers and then also listeners, because I do know that sometimes you may pick it on radio and stuff.
Sure, 94.1, yeah.
I have a very good friend in Germany who is watching me and reached out that she's watching.
Okay.
So I extend my greetings to her, Hetty.
Hetty?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Is she Indian?
No, Ghanaian.
Is she Fulani?
She's a party person.
Oh, she's a party person.
So
but she's not Fulani?
No. Okay. Now, before I go on the substantive, let's do a very quick exercise.
Right.
Moro, I'm your father. I'm a rich man. You are my son.
Okay.
I have several cars at the house. You took the Ferrari to town, for town ride, etc. An hour later, I get a call that you crashed the car. Who crashed the car? Who crashed the car? Because you, Moro, took the car for town ride. Now, the car is $1 million. And you, Moro, at the time the car crashed, you were the one driving at top speed.
Right.
Who crashed the car?
Of course I did.
You did. Who bears the liability?
I should.
No, you. I'm the father.
You give the car to me.
I give the car to you.
And I crashed it.
You crashed it.
Yes, I bear it.
No, but I bought the car.
Yes. Oh, it's in your name?
It's in my name.
Yes, but you can ask me to fix it.
I can ask you to fix it.
Yes.
But the bottom line is, I have lost $1 million as the father.
I agree.
But you crashed it.
I crashed it, yes.
A very simple analogy. I'm going to build my point, but I just wanted us to start the argument here. Place it here. But that you can have somebody who caused the loss and the person who owns the liability. And this is the situation here.
Okay.
Somebody caused it. Somebody has to bear the liability. In this case, God board caused the loss or the losses, and then BOG is bearing the liability. But why are we even having this debate? Why is this even necessary? It's necessary because of history. It's necessary because of what my brother and his party have said in the past.
Okay.
You see, just about a few years ago, our country, just like other nations, faced one of its worst economic crises. COVID had come. We had those issues. We had issues with the currency. We had passed through inflationary pressures. All of these things compounded. Now, I'm not here to discuss the cause or otherwise. That's a different conversation.
Yes.
I'm here to say that there was a problem, twin problems at that time, that exacerbated our economic woes. At that material moment, we have an entity called Central Bank, whose duties, whose primary purpose to ensure economic stability, i.e. price stability. But there is a concept in law called penumbra. Penumbra is implied rights that are not explicitly stated. So if we are to use the concept of penumbra and apply it to the BOG, BOG has implied purposes that may not necessarily be explicitly stated. And one example is that whether BOG caused a problem or they didn't cause it, they have a duty to protect the economy. And the central bank cannot watch the economy collapse, irrespective of who caused it. That is their penumbra, that is their implied purpose. So the central government had challenges, fiscal challenges from the Ministry of Finance, etc., exogenous challenges. The country was faced with so many challenges that the central bank had to step in, i.e., take a haircut. The debt exchange program, there was an impairment of about 49 billion Ghana cedis. And then other OMO losses that, very minimal OMO losses that they made. Roughly about 60 billion Ghana cedis.
Right.
Our brothers marched on the streets that the governor of the central bank is a criminal. And I'm sure you recall that he has caused losses never imagined or never perceived in our history. They didn't care that the central bank has an economic duty, that their activities serve an economic good, whether they were responsible or not. All that they cared about at that time was that there was a loss. The central bank had incurred an impairment of 49 billion, some OMO losses, etc., roughly 60 billion, and they must go. The governor must go. The deputy governor must go. They marched on the streets. They called for the head of Addison. That was 60 billion in 8 years. The central bank at that time, in trying to solve the problem, pulled out a few economic tools. One of them was the domestic gold purchase program. Essentially, had multiple legs, at least for now, the gold for oil leg, and then the gold for reserve leg. And in doing these, or deploying these economic tools, there were some losses that were made, roughly $400 million for 1 year, 2024. Once again, our brothers hit the streets, led by my brother Sammy Gyamfi. He led the onslaught. Why have you made losses? How can you make losses by selling gold? This is unbelievable. Gold? You sell gold and make losses? How? You guys are incompetent. You are criminals. You are thieves. These were the adjectives they described us in, because we had sold gold to shore up the economy, to build up our reserves, to bring in more effects, and we had made losses. At the time, our losses, our gold reserves were 8 tons. We had brought it to 30 tons. 8.7 tons, we had brought it to 30 tons through the gold reserve program. Through the domestic gold purchase program under the gold for oil, we had stabilized relatively oil prices. Were they not economic goods? Were they not economic benefits? Yet they wouldn't listen. They berated us. Atuforsen, who is the finance minister, who under his watch now, central government in 1 year, just a single year, their losses amount to 39 billion. And I'll explain it to you. OMO charges of about roughly 17 billion. And then now 22 billion in gold. 39 billion in 1 year under Atuforsen of losses of the central bank. So, Moro, we are here because of the precedents. We are here because of the things they said. We are here because of the onslaught led by Sammy Gyamfi, and then Atuforsen, and then Okudzeto Ablakwa, and then Sam George, and then President Mahama. They set the stage. They lay the bed. You lie in it. You sleep on that bed. And that's really what it is. Because the issue of economic good, the issue of the central bank in some instances taking losses to protect the economy, is actually a penumbra. It's an implied duty. So we all know, every economist who are experts in their fields know that at any material time, the central bank may take a loss. And that is why during COVID, even advanced economies took losses at their central banks. But that was meant to protect the economy. They didn't care. Sammy Gyamfi didn't care. Atuforsen didn't care. They all didn't care. They wanted power. So they marched on the streets, destroyed everybody they could. They set up Addison for attacks. And then you promise the good people of this republic that when given the chance, you can sell the gold and do better. You will not make losses. You will not make losses in gold trade. You make sure you don't make losses at the central bank. In fact, when the central bank governor was being vetted, he made the promise that under him there will be no losses. And that's the negative equity we had. At that time, he was coming in, he will bring it to positive equity. But Moro, as I speak to you, he has taken our negative equity to 90 billion as of 2020, mid-2025. But now, our negative equity is 103 billion. So not only did you fail on your promise that you will not make losses, you have worsened the case. So you said you are going to buy gold. You said you are going to make sure we won't make losses. And you have failed. Now what is the issue? The central bank advanced 133 billion to Gold Board to go and buy gold. Gold Board, before it embarked on this exercise, went to Parliament with a law that, look, I want to be the only player in the gold industry. I want to be the only person who buys, who sells, who assays, who weighs, who grades, and who exports. Everything monopolized under Gold Board. You know, under our time, we made some of the losses we made because we were in a liberal economy. It was not just PMMC that was buying the gold. MIF was buying, other private sectors were buying. So it was a competitive space. So if you go into the market, sometimes you have to offer premiums, you have to offer the right prices to be able to get the gold. In this case, Gold Board is the only entity buying gold in Ghana. In fact, Gold Board sets the price on a daily basis, twice a day. They set the price. Gold Board went to the market and they made trading losses. And I'll explain the various losses they made. Number one was trading losses under the FX regime. You know, the central bank sets its rates, forex rate on a daily basis as well. So the central bank can say, today the dollar is trading at 11.
It's called a reference rate.
Reference rate. But when Gold Board goes to the gold market, the small scale seller will tell you, I will not take that central bank reference rate of 11. I'll sell it to you at 13.5. I'll sell it to you at 12.5 or 14. That is it. Fine now. Take it or leave it. So you can claim to have brought exchange rate down. On the market, it doesn't apply. So Gold Board made losses on the foreign exchange differentials. That was one. In fact, it formed a major chunk of the losses. Number two, Gold Board is offering services to the central bank at a fee. One is a contractual fee, another is a statutory fee. The contractual fee is what we call the service fee, because Gold Board has to operate to be able to offer the services. They need to move the gold from this location to that location, etc. That is the service fee. I think it's 0.5 or so. Then we have what we call assay fee. Assay is when you check the purity of the gold. They have X-ray assay, their fire assay, etc. But Gold Board charges assay fee of 0.258. So these two are charges that are coming from the money the central bank has advanced. So loss one is the foreign exchange differentials. Loss two is the assay fee and then the service fee. And then loss three is what we call off-taker discounts. So essentially, once Gold Board has done its work, in fact, Gold Board by law has the powers to export and all of that, but the central bank by its act also has the powers to trade and to export. And because the Gold Board law didn't explicitly cancel out the rule or the purpose of the central bank to trade, that law is still valid. So the central bank then takes the responsibility to sell the gold to the off-takers. They have the contractual agreements. But the off-taker is buying a Dory gold. There's a difference between Dory and bullion. Dory is essentially raw gold with impurities. You know, like platinum, zinc, brass. Because you see, when you take the raw gold, it is not just gold. It has impurities in it. which is other metals. It is after you have refined it to 24 karat. That is when it becomes pure gold, or they say 99.9 quality, and that's refined gold. But the central bank is selling the dory. So the person, the off-taker, will say that because I am now going to refine, if you give me 1 kilo, by the time I have refined, it will reduce by, let's say, a gram or 2. So you have to give me a discount. All of these things culminated into the 1.7 billion. So of the 133 billion that the central bank advanced to gold board, at the end of the day, 22 billion of it came out as losses. That is the whole matter. The gold board participated in that loss. In fact, the major chunk of it. See, when gold board puts out its report that it made profit, as gold board as an entity, it made profit for the fiscal year 2025. When you look at the balance sheets or their profit and loss, you see a grant of 4 billion. Then there is a remainder of 900 million. That 900 million, about 956 million, about 906 million of that 950 million is essentially fees or services and assay charges. So the profit that gold board made in that fiscal year came from the charges it charged central bank and other assaying fees. It's not only the central bank that they do assaying and charge servicing fees too. So the bottom line is that, like the narrative I gave you, the son and the father, gold board is the agency, central bank is the financier. The agency said, I'll go and buy you the gold at a value of 133 billion. But when this agency came back, they had made losses in that promise that they made the central bank. So yes, you can debate on whose book the losses sit, but you cannot debate on who played a role. And the fact remains that gold board played a major role. If for nothing at all, you credit aspects of the losses to them. One, the exchange rate differentials, and two, the assaying and the service fee losses, etc. If you want to credit the off-taker charges to the central bank, that's a different matter. But it remains a fact that gold board is the son who crashed the car, and the central bank is the father who owns the liability. That is the bottom line. So I don't see the head and tail of this whole debate. And when Afenyo Markins gave his speech, I took time to read it. And essentially, that was what Afenyo Markins was saying. And he went on to say that, look, because you are the agency, we have questions for you. How much did you buy the gold for? What were your prices? Did you offer premiums? These questions were all in the press statement. So Afenyo Markins understood, the minority understood the whole concept in that you caused the loss. Yes, it may sit on somebody's book, but you caused the loss. And that is what Afenyo Markins and the minority is saying. Maybe is the language of causing the loss that is being confused to mean that if you cause the loss, then it means you own the loss. No. We understand who owns the loss and who caused the loss. The fact is, gold board caused the loss. And then the central bank owned that loss. And as I told you, in 1 year, under a Siama Pandit, in 1 year, under Atoforsen, Ghanaians, the central bank has lost 39 billion. 22 billion in gold trade losses and 17 billion in open market operation losses, what we call OMO losses. Essentially, is when you mop up excess liquidity. In 1 year, Pandit Esiama, the man who promised that he will not make any losses, in 1 year, under Atuforsen, the guy who called Addison a criminal, the guy who marched on the streets and promised Ghanaians that when he becomes the finance minister, central bank will not make any losses. Under Atuforsen, we have made 39 billion Ghana cedis of losses in 1 year.
Okay.
1 year. May God save us.
Let's do this.